I just got done with a $12 3-mile delivery, and I screwed up. I hit the record. But that's one thing also I love about the delivery so much better is, you see, tips to fare ratio. When it comes to the Uber X week, it totally flip-flops. Right? Total flip-flop. So that brings me back to the topic of, you want to get paid for your efforts. You know, that's what the e-gig, being self-employed, helps you do. Is, if business is good, you're getting paid based on your efforts. And that's what you want. You want to translate effort to money. And, I'm working a union job, and I'm telling you, if you're a regular, okay, it works for you. But really, it doesn't work for everybody. And you're not getting paid based on effort. And so it actually encourages people to work less, because you're going to get paid the same. And it's your seniority, your time on the job that you get what you get. And there's pros to that and there's negatives to that. So when it comes to getting out of the shit and being able to have true wealth, unless you're making really good bank money, and to make that kind of money, you have to be making a crazy amount of money per hour. It's probably unattainable to someone without like a master's degree. I mean, seriously, to really make real money as a W-2, to be able to get out of, poverty. I mean, geez, back in the 80s, I remember in grade school, they'd be like, oh yeah, you should have a job that pays $20,000 a year is a good job. That was like 50 years ago. And now, like at the hourly rate in my checks now, with the hours, I stand to only make like $30,000 a year, if that. I went from making every other week, netting 2,000 to 2,100 to 14 with the new regime. That's pretty much, I guess, across the country. They're doing this, starting everybody, the CCAs, at 10 o'clock in the morning. And you're getting the same amount of work. And now your deadline to get back to the office is now not like 7, it's like 6:30. Basically trying to, contract-wise, the CCAs can work 12, but now they're trying to make it 8 and giving it the same amount of work because they think CCAs are slow. And they think you're milking the clock. And therefore, let's fuck with the start times. That's what they're doing. Trying to get people to like skip their breaks. Pretty much that's what that does. Because you're getting the same amount of work. You have less time to do it. And you're getting spotlighted if you're coming back late, right? So, what the hell? What are you going to do? That's the crap that you deal with W-2 stuff. You know what I mean? That's why that's why I've done e-gig stuff longer than I've done anything else. It's because you're on your own in that regard. And that's a lot of freedom to have to not have to deal with that crap. You know what I mean? That's why, like, the unions trying to fight against what the people passed for the Prop 22. That's what they're going to bring to you. As a W-2, Um, Being able to be told when and where to work, and then having seniority be the determiner of your trips. Trust me. I mean, I'd be okay. I'm over 7 years, so my seniority wouldn't be the best, but my seniority would be good if they're going to do a union type thing. 7 years of service, that's good seniority. Pretty much, that's good seniority. So I wouldn't be, hurt too badly. My seniority, if they would be going based on seniority to get good trips in certain areas, then yeah, that's what you would do. Is you'd find an area with a bunch of people that don't have seniority and own the market, right? I mean, that's if it's like the unions that I've been involved with, it's based on seniority. So therefore your seniority gets it. So therefore, that's the way the union would do it. Yeah, so you could be putting yourself in a good position and then not get it because you don't have the seniority. And so therefore, if you're relatively new, you'd be freaking screwed. You'd be screwed. You wouldn't make any money at all. I mean, you'd be screwed in this. You'd be screwed. You wouldn't make money. You would have all the terrible trips that don't make any money. I mean, I guess you would be making your wage, but still at a wage. I mean, this is the clear-cut example. Massachusetts, Amherst, you had a lot of college kids, like 60,000 people. And the mass majority, like 90% of those, didn't live in that area. So during holidays, before the summer, almost all of them would be going to the airport. So, I mean, also during school year, during party times, they're using Uber. So you can imagine how the market determines how good Uber is. I mean, it was prime. You had an airport that was 40 miles, a straight shot down the highway. And you're not in California traffic, okay? You're talking, that's one thing. I drove 55 miles one direction to my job in Massachusetts. And I'd get there in an hour and 20 minutes, because the traffic's so much better. I mean, of course, in Boston, it's a different story, but you can get long distances in a shorter period of time there because you just take it for granted. Here, you couldn't do that. It takes an hour and a half to go 20 miles up to Los Angeles, right? So you can imagine the bank it was doing those airport trips down to Connecticut. And I'd be able to do it all the time, every time, 55 minutes, sometimes 50. Nothing ever over an hour. And I'd make nothing less than $38 for that trip. 38 to 45. And of course, they're students. They're not tipping, but who cares? You would make, that for that hour trip, you're going to make $40, and then you could get a trip from there often. It wasn't the busiest though. It wasted time if you're waiting on that. But then I would filter back and try to get trips on the way back. And then you had Boston. And Boston had the best paying rate, I think, of anybody in the country, to be honest with you. It was $1.25 a mile, I think, or $1.05. No, I think it was $1.20. $1.20 a mile. So it was bank in Boston. Oh, man. Yeah, you made good money. I mean, it sucked, though, driving in Boston, not knowing the area too well. But people were understanding. So that was 90 miles? 100 miles from there. And a lot of people from the students would be going to Logan. So you would get one of those two. Every once in a while, you get a JFK, which would be like, I think 130 miles. But the JFK sucked, to be honest with you, because you can't pick up in New York. So then you're deadheading back. And that's not what you'd want. So really, you didn't care about that. The New York City trips, unless you're just looking for an adventure. Like I had that $700 day. Oh, yeah, $750 that day, because he gave me a $200 tip, and I went to the Hamptons in Long Beach, New York. That was crazy, and I made money all throughout the day. Before that was insane. That was like a unicorn day, and that could happen there. You know what I mean? It's just like rich LA kid going to the Hamptons. Yeah. So that was a special area for that. Being able to, I got to and I made these videos. They're there. If I didn't delete them. But yeah, I made videos that are on this channel, talking about that. So yeah, that was, I remember making those videos, every day, like I do almost now. I'm not making them as much, because, I'm not doing this 100% like I was then. And so, yeah, I made that area special. I could make my day early in the morning, just a couple airport trips, and know I had my basics done. And so I knew that the good times to be out there, early in the morning, boom, there go, and I'd get them. Yeah, and that was good. I knew I had, and I also had the park times, and I had two phones. I'd have an app on my second phone, and I'd be able to see the other drivers, and so I placed myself accordingly. I wouldn't put myself in the center, because that's another thing. There was a ton of drivers even back then, and you wouldn't want to be in the middle. You kind of want to be on the outer skirts, and I placed myself that way. And then I started to understand that your chances of getting a trip were better if you're on the road, it seemed. So I had this place on campus that was right beside a main road going into town. And I realized when I looked at the app that when I parked close enough on the parking lot, it would put me onto the road as if I was driving. And I would be getting trips. And these other people, all these other people, weren't getting these trips. And so therefore I would kind of milk that little strategy there of like parking close on the parking lot to the road and seeing on the passenger app my car hop over onto the road. And I swear to God, I was getting trips. And it worked. And that was like my little spot, my little honey hole. And I was getting trips, you know what I mean? So I learned these things. And that's part of the cool thing of being an e-gig worker, was being able to employ some of your trips and tricks to make the money. So that's part of the rewarding of effort in the area, in the market that you're in. I mean, that was good. That was a good area. In the summertime, it sucked because all the kids are gone, and you still had a ton of drivers, and so that's when life sucked. June and July and the beginning of August sucked. But then, midway through August, all of a sudden, it would come back and you'd be like, yeah, buddy, yeah. You'd be happy because then the students are coming back into town and you're getting the airport trips into town, and now it happens. Now it's hopping. And then it hops again. And then you're good. Yeah, May. That was always the good time, too, because everybody's going home, and you're banking those airport trips because you're making like $40 for less than an hour, and you're just making that money. You know what I mean? And I'd sometimes get like 5 trips a day, you know. So knowing your market, knowing the area is really good. So yeah, that's why, you know, if I didn't have so many miles on this car, I might just be doing this full time. But I have too many miles. I don't want to use credit anymore. I can't put myself in a position where I need to get a different car. That's definitely something that I cannot do. So yeah, that's the trick. Doing it all over again, I would do it smarter. That's for sure. And make it work. And so yeah, that's the thing about the politics of, yeah, can you really get out of poverty working a W-2 job? That's an average job. I don't think you can. I think finding side work in addition and being able to be an entrepreneur is the way out. Because then you can transfer effort to money and get out of you're high on hours. The contract says that, you know, CCAs can work 12 hours a day. Well, 11 and a half. But they're doing this 8 hours a day. 2 days off a week. And there's nothing you can do. When you talk about it, they get mad and they go crazy, and then then I quit, and then I don't quit, and all this crap. And you know what I mean? How are you going to get out of your situation when your hours are limited all the time by the boss? You know, as a self-employed entrepreneur, you can be like Elon Musk did and live at your factory or at your place and sleep there and keep on working like that and translate effort to money, because you're not going to translate that effort to money on a hourly wage dictated by your higher ups. That's mirrored by investors and union politics. Either one of the two. That's going to allow the smaller group to take the pie, because the post office has an overtime desired list and a no overtime list. And those are the people that get their guaranteed 12 hours. Just because they've been there. So they make more money, obviously. And because of that list, the post office has people who are making upwards to 30 or more an hour on that list that are getting 12 hours, i.e., someone that's getting 1982 doesn't get those hours. Obviously, that's an easy way to understand how the post office loses money and how unions cost businesses money, because they have to give those overtime hours to the people that are making more and not able to do the job at people who are making less. Of course, they're going to accuse the CCA of being slow and not doing the job well, but it's because of that type of stuff that they're losing money in addition to, in the stability of the workforce. I mean, trust me, they would have contractors doing the mail if they could. The politicians, they would. They'd have like temp to hire positions. They'd be regulars, but that would be almost impossible to be a regular. You would have like 60 or 70% of the mail being delivered by temps, who are like staffed by a private agency. You know what I mean? That's what they would do. They, the whole pension and all that stuff would be out the window. It'd be impossible to become a regular, kind of like it used to be. It was harder. You were a casual and you got paid based on assignments, and that's pretty much how they did it. Yeah, and they would 2.0 that and make it even worse, so it's not 100% bad. The unions are not 100% bad. I'm not trying to bash union stuff, but it is what it is. You're not gonna become rich working a union job, really, because it really doesn't incentivize efforts. That effort to the dollar, it incentivizes people to do less and get paid the same amount, so why would you do more? Unless you're intrinsically freaking motivated, and it's for your personal psychology. If you're not operating on that level, then why would you? So yeah, that's the way of the world. I like the job I'm working. I do, obviously. But yeah, my heart isn't. My heart is to work for myself. To be able to, I guess I'll title this video Effort to Dollar Translation. Or Effort Dollar to Effort Transfers, or the transferring of effort to the dollar. Okay, that sounds better. Because that's really what makes you feel good when you're on that high, when money's good. Like, in Massachusetts, when the surge would go to 10, no joke, 10 surge, you would have a trip that's just across campus, and you'd make like frickin' $20 for a 5-minute trip across campus, just to a frat house from a dorm. And on that trip, you would get freaking requests. And there were so many freaking requests that you could be picky about it and just turn down whatever, because you knew they were going to keep on happening. And you just taking, it's like hitting the slots, man. Like, those crazy, Mr. Beast gambling, you're guaranteed to win millions of dollars every month. Woohoo! Yeah. It's basically like that. It was freaking crazy. You back-to-back trips on trips, so there was no delay between trips, and they're all together, and you're making like $20 a trip, 5 miles. You're freaking going crazy because the surge would be so freaking high. Because UMass has like 35,000 kids there. That campus. There's a lot at Amherst College, a lot at New Hampshire College, a little bit smaller, and Mount Holyoke. Smith was a little bit out of the area, though. He didn't really want to work Smith unless they were going to Amherst. Because, yeah, they would all intermingle. You can take, they have courses that they could all take. So, I mean, yeah, it was all bank money. It was like hitting the slots. Bank money. Bank money. And those were crazy. That was crazy. And you had the euphoric dopamine hit that would come from that. It's just like, woohoo! You know what I mean? Then some people would get this like efforr surge trip to the airport. And typically to Boston, it was like $105 I'd get. Imagine efforr surge from that, right? $400 for like an hour and 2 hours to get there, hour and a half to 2 hours to get there. You know what I mean? That's money. I one time got a trip to Boston and literally worked there for a couple more hours and then got a trip back to the town of Amherst from Boston. That is the ultimate win. Going there, making money there, and then also getting paid on my way back home. That was bank. That was bank stuff. Yeah, that a lot of that is what makes you love being self-employed. That's a market. Definitely, I've had some good success here in California, but nothing like that happens here. You know what I mean? That's a one of a kind area that happens where you're nothing lower than efforr surge during party night at the campus. Doing these short, tiny trips across campus or going downtown, which is right there. Banging trips out. I don't think there's where you're able to drive and not have to deal with the traffic and to be able to make that kind of money. I don't think there's any other place in the country that is that good. It's a special place for that. I don't think there's a better place. I've driven Los Angeles, Long Beach, fruitful areas. I've driven here, and the money that you make in comparison to there isn't there. It's not here. Definitely Massachusetts, during the high peak season of students, it's good stuff. It was a special area. It's a special area. I don't know if it's just as good now as it used to be, but it was fire. Special place. And I came here and I'm like, whoa, this is a lot slower here than dealing with this. Yeah, it's different. So it is what it is. So yeah, the market. Yeah, when they talked about the market, this is a market-determined business. Yeah, for sure. But that's the way it is any business, right? Where you are determines often your success. Location, right? So, it's good. I hope you guys have a good day. And I will make my day a good day too. Thank you.